Y'all, I have some mixed feelings about these farmers that are getting screwed over by these tariffs. There's part of me that wants to laugh in their faces and say, congratulations, you got exactly what you voted for, bro. And then there's another side of me that understands that these people are just too simple and don't really understand what they did.
You don't want to hear the price I'm about to give you. And I said, well, give it to me anyways. He said, each of those steaks now is going to be $1.74 a piece. I said, well,
Double the price.
We can't do that. And that's going to be impossible. So that's just to let you know a little bit of what we're going through out here on our farm and what farmers in general are going through. These tariffs, not the best thing for our country. I voted for Trump.
Now, if you didn't catch that at the end, he said, these tariffs aren't the best thing for our country, and I voted for Trump. These people don't really pay attention to the news. These are people that just listen to what Earl says down at the diner, and he's voted Republican his whole life because they're the party of God. And speaking of God, there are a lot of these farmers that say, you know what, I'm not that worried because God's got this.
A lot of faith, and our faith is in God and not in administration.
In agriculture, there's about 85% of what happens on my farm that is completely out of my control.
Yeah.
So I have to do the very best I can at managing that 15% of inputs and costs and labor and marketing and signing the best contract and doing the best job that I can and leave the other 85% up to the good Lord. And that's all we can do, whether it's weather or disease or a hailstorm or a pandemic or administration.
They're trying to compare these tariffs to a natural disaster, but this isn't a natural disaster. This was a decision made by one man who is screwing them over. And they're just like, well, it's in the Lord's hands. What can we do? And this, again, is why religion is so dangerous. They're willing to accept financial ruin because the Lord's got this, so I'm not going to be worried about what Trump decides to do. And my friends over at the Cowboy Church told me that God put him in office for a reason. And that's just it. When you think that there's a supernatural force just watching over you at all times, nothing matters. Your family might starve. Well, if that's what God wants, who am I to argue with him? If you don't get your kid vaccinated, they could easily die of a disease that's easily preventable. Well, if that's what the Lord wants, I'm not going to be able to stop him. And that is why religion is one of the most dangerous things on this planet. Because these people have been convinced that they are completely out of control of things that they could completely control if they wanted to. And the sad thing is that we need our farmers, but Darwinism is going to take them all away from us if they don't get away from this Christian nationalist way of thinking.
Farmers across Texas are grappling with severe economic challenges as a result of ongoing trade tensions and tariffs, particularly those involving China. These trade disputes have led to significant declines in agricultural exports, causing financial strain for many in the farming community. Texas, a major agricultural exporter, has seen a sharp decrease in exports of key commodities such as cotton, corn, and sorghum. For instance, sorghum exports to China plummeted from an average of $448 million to less than $98 million in a recent year. This downturn has left many farmers with surplus crops and limited storage options, exacerbating financial pressures. Cotton farmers are also facing hardships, with prices falling below 67 cents per pound, nearing lows not seen since the COVID-19 pandemic. Retaliatory tariffs from China and other countries have significantly limited American cotton exports, contributing to these price declines. The financial strain is leading some farmers to consider leaving the industry altogether. Robert Fleming, a fifth-generation farmer from Central Texas, expressed concern that the added stress from tariffs could drive older farmers to retire and deter new entrants into farming. He noted that current market conditions are forcing farmers to sell products below production costs, harming rural economies. Similarly, Jay Davis, a farmer from North Texas, reported that the trade disputes have caused a 25% drop in prices for his main crops, corn and wheat. While acknowledging the need for fair trade practices, Davis emphasized that the short-term pain inflicted by tariffs is substantial.
Never thought I was going to lose this much money, this fast.
Jim is a Republican who voted for Donald Trump 3 times.
How do you feel about your vote for Donald Trump now?
Well, I feel like perhaps I should have considered some other options. A lot of other local farmers around here, it was a major source of reliable revenue. For me, it's going to cost me around $150,000 a year.
$150,000.
Yeah, roughly 50% of my revenue.
That's a huge hit.
That's a massive hit.
The American farmer will figure it out, plant something different, grow a new crop. You just told me you know nothing about farming. There are approximately 100,000 soybean farmers in the United States that planted their crops this year expecting to sell to China. Now China will not be buying their crop. They have nowhere to sell it. So this year's crop is done because they can't just dig up the crop and plant something new. It doesn't fucking work that way. Not just that, there are a lot of states where you can only grow certain things. You can't just grow anything anywhere. It's not how it works. The soil's not the same everywhere. The soil is perfect for soybeans. It might not be perfect for other things. You don't know shit about shit, and they can't just recover from that. They can't just grow something else that easily. Yes, some of them can, but not all of them. Some small farms are going to fucking go under because of Trump's tariffs. 100%.
For years, many farmers across rural Texas were strong supporters of Donald Trump, drawn to his promises of revitalizing American agriculture and standing up to foreign competitors. But now, as the harsh realities of trade wars and retaliatory tariffs set in, a growing number are expressing deep regret for the votes they once cast. The tariffs, especially those targeting China, a major buyer of Texas crops like cotton, sorghum, and corn, have slashed export opportunities and driven down commodity prices. Farmers like Robert Fleming, a fifth-generation Central Texas producer, say they once believed Trump's tough stance on trade would ultimately protect them. Instead, they've watched their markets shrink and their livelihoods teeter on the brink. "I thought he was going to fight for us," Fleming said, "but we're the ones paying the price." Jay Davis, who farms corn and wheat in North Texas, echoed the sentiment. "At the time, it felt like we needed a shakeup," Davis said. "Now it feels like we were used." The promises about helping farmers were empty. Government aid packages meant to offset losses have done little to ease the long-term damage. Many farmers describe them as short-term band-aids on a deep wound that may take generations to heal. Worse, the uncertainty has discouraged young people from staying in agriculture, threatening the future of family farms that have endured for decades. Beyond financial hardships, there's a sense of betrayal. Farmers feel left behind by the very leadership they helped elect. "I don't like to admit it," said one farmer who asked to remain anonymous, "but if I could take my vote back, I would." At community meetings and farm supply stores across Texas, conversations that once centered around optimism and loyalty have shifted to frustration and doubt. While some still support Trump, hoping for a turnaround, many others have made up their minds. The promises made to rural America were broken, and they're left holding the cost.
I have some late-breaking news. Many soybean and corn farmers in the Republican-leaning states of Iowa and Minnesota have warned the White House that the increased cost of their exports due to Trump's tariffs could drive them absolutely out of business. And folks, I am not making this up. This is absolutely big news. China hiked levies on imports of all U.S. goods, while dismissing the U.S. tariff strategy as a joke. The problem is now that Brazil and China, the delegations, will talk as Brazil emerged as the beneficiary from the existing Chinese tariffs. And this is on farm imports, which pushed Beijing to seek new agriculture suppliers. So basically, Brazil's going to pick it up a notch, and America's going to lose the American farmers.
As a reminder, Donald Trump addressed the entire nation on March 6th and said this, "And to our farmers, starting on April 2nd, it may be a little bit of an adjustment period. Just bear with me. So to our farmers, have a lot of fun. I love you too. It's all going to happen." He told us all that this would happen, but you didn't believe him. And that's why we're in the position we're in right now. Our trade partners are cutting us off. The U.S. dollar is collapsing, and we have still yet to hear a single infrastructure plan from Donald Trump. And instead of creating an infrastructure plan to rescue our agriculture industries, he has spent 21 of his first 84 days golfing. That's 25% of his time, at a cost of approximately $30 million to taxpayers. He is golfing 5 times more currently than he did in his first term. And if he keeps this up, he will have cost American taxpayers $520 million by the end of his presidency. And just in case you were wondering about that math, that is more than half of the $1 billion in USDA federal grants that he canceled.
And so, under the wide Texas sky, with dust in their boots and regret in their hearts, many farmers are left wondering if the art of the deal was really just the art of the steal. But hey, life goes on, and the crops might still grow, if only someone could put a tariff on broken promises. If you enjoyed this story and want more juicy takes from the fields to the headlines, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to Orbit Point. And don't just stop there. Smash that notification bell like a farmer smashing a broken tractor so you never miss a new upload. Orbit Point, where the world spins, and so do the stories.